Hello everyone, welcome back to Changfied YouTube channel, your trusted source for latest updates across South Sudan and beyond. Thank you for joining today's program. We have two major developments from South Sudan that have drawn national and international attention. The first story is about a deadly attack on a humanitarian convoy in Duke County in Jonglei State, where many lives were lost while 8 workers were returning from a humanitarian activity. In our second story, we will focus on the ongoing court case involving individuals charged alongside First Vice President Dr. Machar, where one of the accused challenged digital evidence presented in court. These stories raise important questions about security, justice, humanitarian work, and the future of peace in South Sudan. Throughout this program, we will look at what has been reported, explain the background, and discuss why this event matter. As always, allegations remain allegations unless proven in court, and where responsibility has not been independently confirmed, we will make that clear. Well, if you are new here to Changfied YouTube channel, I would like you to take the channel by subscribing. Turn on the notification bell so whenever we upload a new video, you can be notified. Let us start our report with deadly attack on humanitarian convoy. A report indicated that a humanitarian convoy traveling through Duke County in Jonglei State came under attack during the afternoon, resulting in a significant loss of life and leaving several other people injured. According to officials and the humanitarian organization involved, the convoy was returning from a training activity connected to humanitarian work, and instead of completing the journey safely, those traveling in the vehicle were suddenly attacked. This tragic incident has shocked many people because humanitarian workers are generally expected to be protected under international humanitarian principles. Their work is focused on helping communities affected by conflict, anger, flood, disease, and displacement. When aid workers become victims of violence, it affects not only those directly involved but also thousands of people who depend on humanitarian assistance. Initial report indicate that 17 people lost their life, while several others suffered injuries. Among those who died were employees working for the humanitarian organization operating the convoys, called JDF, John Dow Foundation. Other civilians traveling with them were also affected. Every loss of life represents more than a number. Behind each victim is a family, friends, colleagues, and a community live grieving. Many of those working in humanitarian operation choose difficult assignment because they want to help vulnerable people living in remote areas where services are limited. South Sudan continues to experience humanitarian challenges in many regions. Flooding, food insecurity, displacement, and insecurity have created conditions where millions of people depend on humanitarian support every year. Aid organizations regularly transport food, medical supplies, nutrition assistance, and emergency relief to communities that would otherwise have little or no access to essential services. That is why attacks affecting humanitarian workers create concern not only within South Sudan but also across the international humanitarian community. Officials have stated that security forces and local authorities responded after the incident. A recovery team reportedly traveled to the area while emergency responders worked to assist survivors and recover those who had been killed. Authorities have also indicated that investigation and security operations are expected to continue as efforts are made to determine exactly what happened and who was responsible. At the time this report emerged, responsibility for the attack are not being independently confirmed by journalists. In a situation like this, it is important to distinguish between official statement, eyewitness account, and independently verified fact. Investigation often continue after initial report become public. This tragic also come at a time when communities in part of Jonglei and neighboring areas have been working toward improving relations after years of violent cattle raid and local conflict. Community leaders, religious organizations, youth representatives, women leaders, and government officials have invested time in peace dialogue designed to reduce violence and encourage cooperation. Whenever a major security incident occurred, there is understandable concern that trust built through this peace effort could be weakened. This is why many leaders often call for calm while investigations continue, urging communities not to respond with revenge or collective blame. For humanitarian organizations, security remains one of the greatest challenges. Delivering assistance in remote areas often require traveling a long distance over difficult road, where communication is limited and security conditions can change quickly. Aid workers frequently accept these risks because they believe people living in isolated communities deserve access to food, health care, education, clean water, and emergency support. The death report in this incident therefore represent not only a personal tragedy for the victim families but also a serious reminder of the danger humanitarian workers continue to face while serving vulnerable communities in South Sudan. As investigation continue, many South Sudanese will be hoping that those responsible, if identified, are held accountable through the appropriate legal process and that further violence is prevented. Protecting humanitarian workers is important because their safety directly affects the ability of humanitarian organizations to continue reaching communities that urgently need assistance. Let's move on to our second top story. Today we are looking at another important development from Juba, where the special court handling the case involving several individuals charged alongside suspended first Vice President Dr. Machar continue its hearing. The latest court session focused on one of the defendants who present his response to the evidence brought by the prosecution. During the hearing, he rejected the allegation against him and questioned the reliability of the digital evidence that has been presented before the court. According to information presented during the proceeding, the defendant told the judges that certain messages found on a mobile phone should not be considered genuine. He argued that the device remained in the custody of security authorities for a long period before it was produced in court. Based on the argument, he claimed there was no guarantee that the information shown to the court accurately reflected the content of the phone at the time of his arrest. Godwin Lampoch further denied allegation that he shared intelligence information or assisted the Nuerwai army militia in any way. During his statement, he said the prosecution had not clearly demonstrated what information was allegedly shared, when it was shared, or how it supposedly provide any support. The defendant also challenged evidence connected to WhatsApp communication. According to his defense, there was insufficient proof linking him directly to several digital messages and photographs that prosecutors believe are connected to the case. Another issue raised during the hearing involved in an audio recording. The defendant argued that the recording should not be relied upon because the identities of the people speaking in the recording are not being independently established. He maintained that there was no clear evidence connecting the recording to him personally. These arguments form part of the defense effort to convince the court that the electronic evidence presented by prosecutors should not be accepted without careful examination. Digital evidence has become increasingly important in criminal investigation around the world. Mobile phone, messaging, application, email, photograph, video, and electronic record are now frequently used in court cases. However, court also require that such evidence be collected, preserved, and presented according to legal procedures. Question about how electronic devices were handled, who had access to them, and whether the information remained unchanged can become important issues during a trial. In this case, the prosecution and the defense have taken different positions regarding the digital evidence. While prosecutors argued that the evidence support the charges, the defense maintained that the material is unreliable and should not be accepted as proof of wrongdoing. Ultimately, it will be the responsibility of the judge to carefully examine all the evidence presented by both sides before reaching any conclusion. It is important to remember that court proceedings are designed to allow both the prosecution and the defense an opportunity to present their arguments. The prosecution carries the burden of proving its case according to the applicable law, while the defense has the right to challenge evidence, question witnesses, and present its own explanation. No final judgment has been delivered in this case. The proceedings remain ongoing, and additional hearings are expected as the defense continue presenting its case before the court. Well, if you are new to Changfied YouTube channel, I would like you to help the channel by subscribing, turn on the notification bell, so whenever we upload a new video, you can be notified. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.